So I've been a Christian for about 20 years. And out of those 20 years, I've been a pastor for about 10. And there's a few things that I've learned over the time. One of those that's really stood out to me lately is the idea that we need to be digging very deeply into the Bible. I see a lot of activity inside of the Bible app and other places where people are doing reading plans on things like 10 steps to love your wife more, or here's the 15 ways to balance your budget according to the Bible. And those things are great. Don't get me wrong. I think that it's important that we should be applying the Bible to those pieces of our lives and that we should be reading Scripture on the surface level just like that. Those are all important things. But if that's all we're doing, then we're missing the overarching story of all the Scriptures. If all we're doing is just reading the Scriptures at surface value and getting the quick proof text moments out of the top surface of the Bible without really digging into the history and the narrative and the way it was written and the original languages and all those pieces, then we're missing the massive moments of Scripture. We're missing why it's important that Jesus was hung on a cross. We're missing why it's important that God closed the door to Noah's Ark. We're missing all these major moments by just treating the Bible more like a reference book. So how do we fix this? How do we get our mind deeper into the Scriptures? It's actually really easy. Read the Bible a lot. 4, 5, 6 chapters, 4, 5, 6 times a week or more. And spend time soaking and saturating yourself in the Bible. Whenever you really start to do that, you begin to detect the themes that run throughout all of the Scriptures, like Jesus being Lord of Lords and King of Kings, like the idea of how the Old Testament points to all of the New Testament, and especially the moments of Jesus' redemption and resurrection, and how all these promises that are made throughout the Bible, it's really one big promise, that God was coming to save his people. The more that we read the Scriptures and soak ourselves in them, the more that we get closer towards that understanding. A deeper commitment to more study, to more reading, to more thinking, to more dwelling with the Bible will lead us to a larger and greater understanding of what God is truly trying to teach us through it. In other words, you'll get hung up on the more complex applications of the Scriptures to everyday life if all you're trying to do is proof text. And not only read the Scriptures, soak in the Scriptures, but join a church that teaches the Scriptures, all of them, especially the controversial pieces, regardless of how it doesn't fit with the current culture in which we live, and especially the pieces that would get you canceled. We must return to all of the Scriptures, wholly and completely, and learn what they mean, not just on the surface level, but deep into our hearts and minds and in the cultures in which we live. Mine out the silver and gold. Proverbs 2 teaches us that to really search the Scriptures is like somebody who's working in a mine shaft looking for precious metals and precious gems. And that's sweaty, long, laborious, and toilsome work, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So put the work in, mine out the Scriptures, join a solid church, and see what the Lord does.